what is up, you guys? The plan for today is to turn all 12 pounds of this ground beef into meatballs for the freezer. Last week we did the same thing, took a bunch of ground beef out of the freezer and pressed them into burger patties. I think I ended up getting like 52 of the burger patties pressed. We're gonna see how many meatballs we can get rolled today. When making my meatballs, tend to leave them very basic. That way we can turn them into like an Italian style meatball, or we can use them for Swedish meatballs or meatball subs, anything like that. And then I can just get it all mixed up all at once and make it really easy on myself. We are doing this in a little bit of postpartum meal prep, but also summer meal prep. We can use these for sweet and sour meatballs, throw them in the crock pot on those busy summer days, or on days where I just need a little bit of a break. I know it's gonna be a busy day and I can have the crock pot working for me, or to have something really easy to just throw in the oven and cook the meatballs in the oven, top with spaghetti sauce, have spaghetti, all the things. So many options with these. That's why they are one of my favorite items to have prep. We have all of our meat here. We got some eggs from the chickens and some of our homemade breadcrumbs that we made together. So we made these a while ago. When I make homemade bread, instead of just throwing away my bread once it gets stale, or we're just not eating it, hamburger buns, whatever it happens to be, bread ends, I put them all in the freezer in a big Ziploc bag, and once I get enough of those bread products, I will grind them into breadcrumbs, and then I just save them and we use them for other things. If you wanted to also, you guys, you could do this exact same thing and throw in a bunch of seasonings in here, and you can use these as crouton bits on top of salads, which is also something I do, and they're really great. I don't vacuum seal my lids like this. You can if you want to keep them like for super long, but I've never had an issue not having a vacuum seal for my lids like this for either my breadcrumbs, chocolate chips, or whatever I store in these mason jars. I've never had an issue keeping them from going stale. So let's go ahead and get started on these meatballs. Hoping it's gonna be a very easy process today. It should be, but we'll see.
Our beef is really good in flavor because we get it in bulk. It's grass raised, grass finished. It's a really high quality beef, so the flavor in it's really good. That being said, I want to keep the seasonings very basic and just let the meat kind of speak for itself. We're going very lightly with some seasoned salt. We're going in with our favorite Baja mineral salt. If you're interested, we get this on Amazon. If I remember, I can try to link it down below for you guys. It's a little bit of an investment, but it has every mineral that your body needs to function all in that salt. It's a really high quality salt and we are loving it. It's also a coarser salt, so be aware it's a little bit different than a typical table salt. And some pepper. Very basic. We're going to go in with some of our fresh eggs from the chickens and dumping in all of those breadcrumbs that we made together a couple of months ago, just from all those bread ends and things that we normally would have thrown away, and making them into something that is useful. These are plain breadcrumbs. We did not add any seasonings to them, but once again, if you wanted to, you could add in whatever seasonings you want. Use them as croutons for salads, or an Italian breadcrumb if you wanted to add some seasoning mix to them. Use them as breading. Lots of options there. That being said, we're going to get all of our meatballs kind of mixed up. I had to go back and add some more breadcrumbs, kind of slowly but surely, crack in a couple more eggs, because I have never rolled meatballs in this quantity before. I've definitely never done 12 pounds at once, but my favorite way to make this just kind of easy breezy is to use my little cookie scoop. It goes so quickly, and you can see just how much we got on this food tray here and how much is still left in our bowl. I went ahead and repeated the process for as many cookie trays as I had that I could fit in my freezers. A lot of my cookie trays were being purposed for underneath plants for watering and things. So I only had these 2 pans. So we're going to talk about what I'm going to do with that in a second. But once these pans are full, all we're going to do is put these in the freezer to par freeze. which it basically means we want all of our meatballs to be frozen as individuals. That way we can package them into either Ziploc bags, or you can vacuum seal these if you wish. And they're not going to freeze together in one big clump, so I don't have to use the whole bag at once if I don't want to. I can take them out as individual meatballs instead of just a big old clump of frozen meatballs. It also helps cooking and makes things really easy. So that is what we were tackling right now.
What I have left meat-wise after those 2 trays, I still have quite a bit left. I've never done this many meatballs at once. So hi baby. I'm also on trays because a lot of my sheet pans and whatnot are being used currently for underneath plants. So I'm going to take a second and reconvene and figure out what I want to do with this. I might just wrap it, put this in the fridge, and we'll do meatballs for dinner tonight, and we will figure something out. Hi baby. Came up with my game plan. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap the rest of this meat in some cellophane or some tin foil, put it in the fridge. We will do meatballs for dinner tonight, so that'll take up some of that, and it's a little bit of meal prep. I have other things I want to tackle today anyway, so I already know what we're gonna do for dinner, which is great. And then whatever I have left over after making dinner, my 2 trays of meatballs will be par frozen by then. We'll be able to take the meatballs off those trays, put them in Ziploc bags, and then I'll just refill the trays with whatever's left and put them in the freezer overnight, and then we'll bag the rest of the meatballs up tomorrow morning. So we should be getting probably 3 or 4 gallons of meatballs in the freezer, which is great. And then what I might do is just end up throwing like some basil in these and making them Italian style meatballs. I know I said I like to keep my meatballs very basic, but if I ever put special seasoning in them, it's just a little bit of basil and some oregano, and we will use them for an Italian style meatball. So I might end up doing that. I have a lot of beautiful herbs growing in my windowsill right now, so we might as well pluck them and use them while they're at like the peak of deliciousness. And that's kind of my overall game plan. So I'm gonna get that in the fridge. I'm gonna take a second to clean my kitchen up, and the cool thing is about this project, it really is not that messy. I just have to put away my breadcrumbs, my spices, and all I dirtied up was my cookie scoop and my mixing bowl, but because that's going in the fridge, I don't have to wash it yet. Pretty simple, easy project. And now I can spend the rest of my day while those are in the freezer doing their thing, tackling other projects, which are in plenty these days.
It's actually a couple days later, like 3 days later. I left these in the freezer on these trays like this. If that happens to you, it's totally okay. It isn't really going to affect your meatball any, but you can see they are frozen as individuals here. I can pick them up one at a time and put them into my Ziploc bag here. Earlier, I thought we were going to get maybe 3 or 4 bags of meatballs worth, or gallon bags worth of meatballs. We ended up getting 5 gallons worth of meatballs, which is fantastic. It's a lot of meals for my family, which is amazing. Easy go-to things. Some of my favorite things to have prepped in the freezer are these meatballs and the hamburger patties that we did a couple weeks ago. Because they are so easy, it really is a task that only takes a little bit of time. I think from start to finish, with over the course of the 2 days that I did this, it was maybe like an hour and a half's worth of my time, but so worth my efforts, and it's going to save my family so much money in the long run. That makes it really worth it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me today. Let me know down below if you're going to get some of these in your freezer, or what are your favorite go-to things to put in your freezers, and I'll catch you guys in another one.